Welcome to Adulting Sucks with Barrio Alegría. My name is Daniel Gusquiza and I will be your host today. At Adulting Sucks, we tackle subjects that are important but boring or scary for some, and we try to help break them down or give you advice on how to tackle them yourself. In this video, we are going to be focusing on the top 5 questions that are posted in grants, and then we are going to be doing a mock grant session, grant writing session, and these are the questions that are posted on the screen. For today's episode, we are going to be talking to the amazing Arleny Pimentel, who's going to help us answer these top 5 questions. Let's list the questions from one by one. Question number 1 is, who are you? Typically, they ask you to tell others who you are and about your experience. Question number 2 is, what's your plan? What are you planning on doing? For you to give a list of activities or programs that are going to be part of your program. Question 3 is, what is your timeline? And they typically ask you to list activities in chronological order for them to know. Question number 4 is, what's your budget? That's going to be very important as we answer these questions. And question number 5 is, what are your outcomes, or how will you know you succeeded? And then we go back to the questions that are posted here. I will be answering them on this Google Doc, and I recommend that you also copy the questions from the grant site and bring them over to a Google Doc. As I mentioned earlier, the person that's going to be joining us today to help us answer those questions is the amazing Arleny Pimentel, who you can see on this photograph. She's holding an art piece that she found at the latest My Mother's Refrigerator at Barrio. So, without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Arleny Pimentel. Arleny, are you here with us?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello, Arleny, and welcome to Adulting Sucks. How's adult life going for you?
Can I say it's sucking?
You say it sucks?
No, adulting is going really well.
Okay. I thought so. Well, Arleny, thank you so much for volunteering to help us answer some of these questions. I'm so sorry you could not be in the studio today, but we will do what we can. Let's start with the first question, Arleny. And that first question is, tell us about yourself. What can we say? What can we write down on this question?
Well, I am applying for a grant because I want to do cleanup around my neighborhood park, which is City Park. And the purpose is to keep the park clean, especially for the families who come to visit during the summertime. I attended some of the South of Penn cleanup with the South of Penn neighbors, and I really just wanted to organize something around my own part of the city.
Organize something local. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created some bullet points for what you said. So you explained that you and I guess there's more than just you want to organize a series of cleanups to keep the park clean from families who visit. You mentioned that you have attended the cleanups held at the South of Penn, and you've gain experience from there, and then you want to organize something hyper local. Can you tell us what park that is?
Yeah, that's City Park,
Okay.
specifically the playground.
City Park. Okay. Park, and we're gonna say the playground. Clean for families. Okay, so here we can identify the purpose, which is the help City Park, the playground clean for families who visit. And then the experience is you have attended the cleanups at the SOP. So I think that what we're going to have to do later on is dig in a little bit more to get more into detail of like what that experience at the cleanups held at the south of Penn are. But let's move on to the second question now. We're just going to start with bullet points. Otherwise, we're going to take too long in each question. The second question is describe what activities you've planned for your project. So you're going to be diving in deeper and then giving specific activities. What do you got? What activities do you have? Oh, sorry.
Well, for me, based on the experience that I've had with the staff of 10 cleanups, I think that we're going to start with meetings with all our neighbors around the City Park playground.
Okay.
To get some buy-in for the neighbors and to get people excited, and we're going to connect with Public Works for the materials and also to give us some support in the cleanup. We are planning on doing a calendar of events so that way neighbors know when the cleanups are coming and they can prepare for it. And then probably also create a Facebook page. That has been, I think, really helpful just to build community and let people know what's going on, even apart from the cleanup. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to create flyers. We're going to pass them around the neighborhood and get people excited. And then we're going to do what we came here for, which is to clean.
Okay. How many cleanups do you foresee having?
Well, this will be for the year. So we're planning on 8 cleanups.
Okay. Okay, so as you can see, Arleny has described the activities, which is first she's going to be meeting with neighbors to get buy-in. Then she's going to connect with Public Works for materials and support. This right here is answering part of one of the other questions, question number 6, which is, are there any other collaborators in this project? And then she's going to create a calendar of events. She's going to create a Facebook page, get flyers, and then she has 8 cleanups. Do you have any idea for when you will be starting the cleanups?
Well, probably when it gets nicer out so we can be out there. So maybe April. May.
Okay. April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
Yeah, I would probably go through to November.
To November, April to November. Okay.
Maybe even December because, this year, December was pretty nice. So we could even get a cleanup in December.
Okay. I think that's good for us. Let's go to the next question. What is the timeline for your project? Do you have an idea of your timeline?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I'll probably start the cleanups in April or May, and it would go for the rest of the year, about once a month. And the cleanups would probably be around 2 hours long. So we would start probably in March we would start with the neighborhood meetings, with the neighbor meetings, um, giving out the calendar, coming up with the dates, creating the page. So that would all happen in the spring.
Okay, March will be the calendar and the Facebook page. All right. That's a rough idea. That's fine for us. Um, what about a budget? Have you thought about a budget? And I know that when you have experience doing these, so you more or less know how much can go into a cleanup. But how do you come up with a budget?
Well, I was thinking since the grants are $5,000, if you divide that by 8 cleanups, it would
Okay.
be around $625 per cleanup. And that money would go towards materials that we need for the cleanup. The marketing materials like the flyer and the calendar. Um, Also, I'm not sure if we would need a permit to hold cleanup, so maybe that would also be something that we would have to consider. And then also, that would have food for the neighbors who come. I know with the South of 10, there's usually some refreshments for after we clean or before we clean. So I would like to also do that. I think food is really important for community building.
Okay. So you said 5,000 divided by 8 is
Mm-hmm.
is how much? 600 what?
Uh, 25, I believe.
625. Okay. So you said something for permits, something for materials, something for food. Will you be you think you'll be paying anybody for this? Like
I
where
don't think so.
will there be money for like planning? Because you can do that, like for example, if you have somebody who's going to be
Like the coordinator fee,
yeah, like a
to
coordinator
coordinate it
fee.
all. Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee paying anyone for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that can go into the budget if we decide to make this a permanent thing.
Okay. All right, great. The next question is going to be how will you know that your project was successful? And if successful, do you expect to continue or repeat the project? So that's two questions. Let's go first for the first one. How will you know if your project was successful?
Well, if I will know based on how many neighbors come out to clean and are engaged. Because even if, there are some people who work and won't be able to go during that time, just seeing if they're engaged with the meetings and passing the word along. Um, and also seeing how many neighbors are engaged on social media.
Okay.
Um, and I think just seeing a decrease in trash would also be an indicator of success.
Seeing a decrease in trash in the park. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. So Arleny has helped us get these bullet points for the answers as answers for these questions, right? And um,
Oh, well, we didn't answer the second part of the
oh yeah,
question.
and if
Well,
successful,
if it is successful, I would like to repeat it. I think it would be great to continue the cleanup, um, maybe another year, and then see where we go from there.
goes from there. Okay. Sounds good. Well, I think I have everything that I need to start building a narrative for your project, Arleny. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hang up now, and then I'm gonna get to work on the grant.
Okay. Goodbye.
All right. Bye. So that has just given us enough to be actually begin writing the grant. So now that we have these bullet points, I'm gonna start fleshing this out. This is not going to be an easy thing, so just as an FYI, this might take a little bit of time. So as you can see, now that we have these bullet points though, this is going to help us create a narrative. So we're going to say Arleny Pimentel. We're going to talk about her in the third person, obviously, but if you are writing this for yourself, you can also talk about yourself in the third person. Pimentel is a community advocate who is interested in cleanups in the playground area of City Park. Having attended, we are not sure how many cleanups she has attended, but having attended a number of cleanups at the South of Bend, organized by the South of Bend collaboration. She is interested in utilizing her experience to replicate the efforts in her own neighborhood. Okay, so now with this, we clear this. So I'm gonna suggest. So I'm gonna boom, get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of. Oh, wow! I'm not showing the actual thing. Okay. So so we're saying that she has attended cleanups and wants to organize something local. Okay. So we have in this paragraph right here, we have mentioned all of this. Now we haven't mentioned that the purpose is to clean up for families who visit, and that's something that is extremely important. So we're gonna say one of her. Not edit anymore. One of her primary goal is to improve the conditions of the park. We can edit this later, of the park for families who typically visit and enjoy the playground area. It's rough, but it's there. So As you can see, what I did was I used the I used the part that she gave me, right? And now I am able to. Okay, well, that didn't work. Control Z. And now I'm able to create this paragraph, which is basically the answer to the question. We can go more in depth about um, her experience as a volunteer for the South of Penn. We can talk more about that. We can talk more about the conditions of the park. We can talk more about the families. We can talk more about City Park itself, about the playground, about the history of the playground. We can talk more about her own history as a community advocate. So there are different places where we could fill this out more. A lot of times, Grant will say, okay, you will need a maximum of 500 words. And so in that case, you don't just want to answer with this amount of words. So if you do Control Shift C, that's one of my favorite um, um, shortcuts. It'll pop this up and it will give you the number of words. So what I have highlighted here, Control Shift C, so that's 69. If the number of words, if the maximum amount of words is 500 and you have 69, that's extremely low. So you have to give yourself space to be filling up more information. In this case, the Barrio Grant doesn't require you to have a number of words, so it can be as simple and um, elegant as you know, just a paragraph. This, of course, needs some editing, and this is where you send this to somebody else who has more experience than you in just writing in general, and then they can take a look at it and suggest some edits. And the same thing is what you're going to do for the next four answers. Next four questions. Describe what activities you've planned for your project. If you're going to put this into paragraph form, you would say, Arleny is already working with some neighbors and is planning on holding community meetings. We don't know where those community meetings are going to happen, so that would be one question that we would ask her. Location. To get full to get the full to get the buy-in from the full neighborhood. That doesn't sound too good, but we'll leave it there for now. She is the group. Now we're going to talk about the group. The group then is going to connect with Public Works to see if they can utilize their materials and see what type of support they are able to get further. course, this sounds very rough for now, but that's okay. Then we can say calendar of events for neighbors. Their plans include um, their marketing plans. Okay, their marketing plans include creating a calendar of events for neighbors so they are aware of cleanup dates and can. I am not sure if neighbors can sign up through the calendar, but can become involved in the activities. They also their goals include creating a Facebook page that can host flyers and information for cleanups and other events in the park. Okay. And then we can talk about their primary goal is to host 8 cleanups for the year, for the whole year. These will run from April through November, once a month. These will run once a month. Once a month from April through November. Okay. So, of course, I'm not spending too much time on this right now, and this is very rough. But let's see if this is how we've done. Okay, meetings with neighbors to get buy-in. Yes. So I'm gonna format this text. Strike through. Connect with Public Works for materials and support. Yes, I mentioned this. Format, text, strike through, done. Calendar of events, yes, I mentioned this. Create Facebook flyers, number of cleanups, yes. So we basically mentioned everything that she listed. Of course, this is rough for now, but we can continue and go on to the next question. So I'm not going to answer, or I'm not going to develop the other questions because you have seen the process already. So what you do is you put the bullet points into a paragraph form and just create a narrative from the bullet points, right? It's just like it's if somebody told you the story of Little Red Riding Hood in, girl dressed in a red cape is sent to meet grandma with flowers, meets Wolf. Wolf tells her to go the long way. Wolf runs to meet grandma. Wolf eats grandma and waits for little girl. Little girl arrives, gets in trouble with the wolf. So those are the bullet points. But then you get to tell the story, which is, once upon a time there was this very young girl whose name was Little Red, and etc. etc. So that's how it works. So I'm going to leave it here because this video is already half an hour long. If you have any questions or would like to know more about how the process goes for the rest of the questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, to me. I would be more than happy to help create a narrative for your grant. People at Barrio are very willing to help you help you write your story for this community grant. What we really are interested in is getting funding for community programs for community people. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Adulting Sucks. Adulting is not sucking as much, but you know, there are things that are boring or scary for some people, including myself. And we have people who can help us. We are all going to be navigating this together. All right. It has been great being with you. Thank you so much for stopping by. This has been Adulting Sucks by Barrio Alegría with Daniel Busqueza, signing off.